Hello. Today's interview, or this session interview, is with Joe Browning, senior associate athletic director.
There you go.
And actually, he just described himself as a cook and
Chief cook and bottle
chief
washer.
cook and bottle
A little bit
washer.
of everything.
Yeah. So he's agreed to answer some of the questions. Some of those generated from you about interest in what it is, what the day-to-day operations are for a Division One NCAA sport team, and so Joe has some answers for us. So first of all, thanks so much, Joe, for agreeing to do this.
My pleasure. I'm always into making extra money whatever way I can. So
Okay, exactly.
just have that direct deposited.
All right, it's the check is in the mail. So. Oh, you want?
I've heard that a few times.
I bet you have. Okay, Joe, and I know you have your answers to this, but so can you just give a background of your career in athletics, how you got to where you are?
Well, actually, I've loved athletics all my life, as most children growing up in America. I grew up playing baseball and basketball and the more typical sports. Went to college, and I was a biology major. Loved the sciences. My transcript looks like a checkerboard. I've got vertebral morphology, radiation biology, all these courses. And then, like most college students, I found out that I like to write, and I switched majors, went into mass communications, and got a job right out of high school in April of my senior year as a sports writer for a daily newspaper, and really loved to write. Then went on to be a sports editor of some papers in Idaho, and it was there I kind of figured out it was kind of post Watergate, just after Watergate, and I don't consider myself an investigative reporter. I always try to find the good things in people. So I just said, there's got to be something else out there where I can combine writing, photography, public relations, different skills that I have. So I just kind of stumbled upon the sports information and promotions field, and got a job in West Virginia, just off the NCAA advertisement, the NCAA news. Kind of started my career at Shepherd College there, school of about 3,000 students, and spent about 5 years there before I found a position here. And Coach Brooks, Bill Brooks, our first athletic director here, was here about 40 years, hired me. And coincidentally, Jimmy Bass, my current boss, actually kind of did the hiring process when I came here. So I've kind of come full circle a little bit with him. But anyway, I just love this business and being around young people, and this will be my 30th year here.
Excellent. So, how would you describe your day-to-day duties and responsibilities?
Well, that's one of the things I like best about my job is, and a lot of people can't say that, is the spontaneity of it. I'm a list maker, so I do make lists of what I want to accomplish each day, each week, each 6 months, each year, and I monitor those obviously closely. So all of that said, I can come in tomorrow morning and my list can just go out the window. I've got to take care of either a pending crisis or something that Jimmy needs some research on, or to write a speech or do whatever. So I try to plan out my days as well as I can. But primarily working with the media relations, with the people that cover all of our teams, not just one or two teams, but all of our teams. Oversee a staff of a couple full-time people, or some interns that I have, some internships set up. TV, radio, our radio, TV, and internet properties. I was sailing along pretty good with this job until this thing called the internet came along, and just blew everything out of the water. So it just opened up a whole another ball of wax to consider and to take care of. And now here we go. We've got that pretty well in hand. Now we have social media comes along. So technology has really changed our business overall and what I do in particular. But Seahawk Digital Network, I oversee that. All of our social media, our publications, our Trask Coliseum control room upstairs, a video board, and a lot of different things. Our Athletic Hall of Fame, some searches, just some different things on campus I'm involved with. So there's never a dull moment.
we do see you around a lot. So, what do you spend most of your time doing in this position? You say you've kind of answered it by saying you never know.
I think the crux of my job in particular, and most folks' job, is communicating, because we come in contact with so many different people, um, students, student athletes, parents, faculty, fans, friends, alumni, staff, uh, people through the internet, through social media. So just communicating to them our brand, what UNCW Athletics stands for, and getting that out in the public and providing good customer service. Because in a lot of ways, I'm the front porch to our department. If somebody looks online, they want to get in touch with our soccer coach. They may not know who he is, who or she is, and they'll call or contact me to find out how to get in touch with them. So always putting a good light on our department and the university and overall.
Great, yeah, definitely. Well, what's the most positive thing you do in your position?
I think the most positive thing is kind of tied in what I just said, but just making sure people know what our department stands for. Student athletes are here to get a good quality education. They're here also to compete for championships. But truth of the matter is, most of them aren't going on to professional sports. So we care about their well-being a great deal and want them to have a good quality experience here. So I think anything I do during the course of the day, I kind of point to that. Those are my goals, to make sure these are viable things for our student athletes.
That's great, Joe. I'm going to go off a little bit, and
You can't do that.
That's not bad. So you talk about student well-being, student athlete. That's coming out, and that's the prevailing theme of everybody I've interviewed. So there's some discussion, though, that student athletes seem to be the privileged few on a campus like this. What's your take on that?
I think if you look at that opinion, privileged view, how are people obtaining that view? They see our student athletes competing. They read in the media what student athletes are like. They're not always shed in the proper light. People don't see the swimmers that are here 6 o'clock in the morning practicing, then coming back at 3 o'clock and practicing, then studying, going to class in between, studying, writing papers at night. There's not a lot of social life for any of the student athletes. We try to encourage that. They can get some, but it's very difficult during the course of the year. It's not as glamorous as it looks in a lot of jobs, a lot of professions. They work very hard, and privilege is kind of a tough word, tough adjective to use for student athletes, I think.
Right. Great. Yeah. And then again, I'm getting that consistently.
Oh yeah, it's understandable, because.
But I'm hearing what you're saying.
And people see, in the media and read and about student athletes at a larger school getting a car, or having access to things that other students don't. That's more the exception than the rule, I think.
Okay, great, thanks. So, problematic. What's problematic or difficult?
I think I'm not atypical. I think what I do is troubleshoot every day in some way, shape, or form a problem, but I do it with limited resources. We do it with limited resources. We're a small Division I school. Division I's great, the highest level of college athletics. Depends on what you're looking for, what you like. But for us, it's very difficult because we have limited resources. We can't throw money at things to fix it. We've got to find a way to fix it through our own means, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time, a little bit more expertise. But I like challenges, and that's where the challenges lie sometimes, is trying to do the most with the least.
So this brings me to another offshoot question in terms of, so we're at Division I, and so we're being compared to these Power Super Five. How is
Wisconsin, Ohio State?
Yeah, well, those folks, yes.
To mention a few.
Exactly. How is this going? Is this change that NCAA has been making in terms of governance and some other things? How do you see that in terms of where are athletics going to be in 5 years?
I mean, that's a difficult thing to project. I think what's happening now, it was just a matter of time because there's one thing from the beginning of the time that has ruled the world, and it's money, and it's the root of all evil. so um, these schools are making a lot of money and investing a lot of money, and they want their own autonomy. It's understood, but somewhere in there, there's got to be a way that we can all live on the same in the same genre and coexist. They have the Power Five schools have different challenges that are unique to them, and so do we. So it's the NCAA, and people think the NCAA is this place on top of a mountain. It's us. It's everybody. We're the NCAA. We're part of the membership, so we determine a lot of what's going on through legislation or whatever. So it's not just this corporate entity that you can't touch. We can have an impact.
Yeah, very good. So again, one last thing. I don't know if you did answer the governance question. Did you see
No,
that?
yeah, I did see it.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Let's okay.
I th-
Explain if you can
Okay.
the governance, what as you see it.
That's tough. That's tough to explain in a Cliff Notes version. But basically, we've got such a diverse membership. You've got Division 1, 2, 3, small schools, medium-sized schools, large schools. So it's really the whole governance part of it has been kind of a metamorphosis through the years. Folks trying to figure it out. How can we get representation? How can we get the smaller schools to feel like they're part of us, and the big schools vice versa. So it's something that's addressed quite often, and here a lot of there's been a lot of publicity about it lately because of the Power Five thing. But the Board of Governors, which is at the top of the heap, with the presidents and chancellors, they oversee the whole thing with Mark Emmert and his staff and the whole staff in Indianapolis. Then there are legislative bodies underneath that that consider, all these are volunteer bodies. If I wanted to be on one of those, I could apply to be on one of those bodies, and they discuss championships, rules in sports, sportsmanship, health and wellness, safety, a lot of different issues that affect student athletes throughout the year. Conferences can propose legislation, and that can be acted on. The thing I like that's happened the last couple of years, and most recently, is more of an input from student athletes. I think student athletes have been a little bit insulated. It's been primarily conferences, presidents, chancellors, conferences, athletic directors, administrators. Now we're getting the student athletes involved a little bit more. In different phases from a voting standpoint as well, and I think that's going to bode well for their well-being moving forward.
Yeah, the meetings I've attended, that's what I'm hearing too. That's what this change in autonomy has suggested, that student athletes will have more of a say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is not on there either, but so we'll end with this. So you've been here
No,
30
no
years.
comment.
No comment. I know that's what you said. So you've been here 30 years. Tell me the 2 to 3 highest moments that you've had here.
Boy, it's funny, I've had so many, and high moments are different things to different people. You probably would think that I would say, like, winning our first conference basketball championship, winning our first conference championship. For me, I take a little bit more personal than that. This is going to sound crazy, but a high moment for me was introducing somebody to their future husband. I assigned a student of mine, it was an internship, to do a story on a cross-country runner, and she ended up marrying him. High point for me is like last weekend, going to a wedding between a basketball player and a volleyball player, Christy Lade and Tanner Milsom, and seeing 7 different sports at that wedding represented. That's the kind of thing from a personal standpoint that I really enjoy. And the championships are great, and there are a lot of good success stories through all of our teams. But off the court, off the field, outside the pool, outside the track is something I take a great deal of stock in, and the personal standpoint, personal stories, meeting parents, retiring jerseys, Hall of Fame, different things, seeing smiles on people's faces.
Well, Joe, thanks for your time and thanks for all you do. You
My
definitely
pleasure.
are one of those.
As they say at Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Your pleasure. All right. You're behind the scenes, but again, I appreciate everything you do for this university and
Thank
for
you so
our
much.
student athletes. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.